Welcome to the stream. It's been a while since we've did this, and you may notice something's very different. Since I live streamed the last time about a year ago, I think it's been since I live streamed, I'm sure you noticed something a bit different. And that is, of course, the most obvious thing. I got a new microphone. So leave us a comment. This is like one of my first times using this. Leave us a comment to make sure that it's working, that the audio is good. So I'll just check your comments here in the room. Audio good. And welcome to the stream. Okay, it seems to be working. So thank you guys for joining us live. Thank you for leaving your comments. I'll get to those in just a minute. There is a few things that I want to talk about, a few things I have to mention before we get into that. First, thanks for all the prayers, all the kind words of support for my mother. I put out that video yesterday, and I had 3 reasons for putting out that video. And number 1 was for prayer requests. And there's a spiritual belief, a philosophy that if you can get as many people as possible praying for the same thing, that there's more power. So instead of just me praying for my mom to have a good and speedy recovery and all that, if you can get 20 people, 30 people, whatever it is, I know a lot of people sent prayers, that has more power. So that was one of the reasons I did it, obviously for the prayer support. But number 2 was that video of the Skype recording with my dad. I just thought it was a really interesting, weird story too. It's just so coincidental the way things worked out, how everyone had this interconnection that was involved. From the person that hit my mother in the truck, from her trauma doctor, to the nurse whose last name was Kraft, who was from Strasbourg. And when she saw my dad, she knew who my dad was because she saw my video about Strasbourg, which is funny because that video here on the YouTube channel, it doesn't have very many views. But that's actually the first and the only video that I've uploaded to Facebook that went viral on Facebook. And I became kind of a, not to toot my own horn, but a bit of a hero in my home state of North Dakota, which really felt good. And you know, that just, like, that was a really special feeling to me when that went viral. But it's so funny how the nurse is named Kraft and she's from Strasbourg. We might even be related. But then my mom's trauma doctor, he's one of the top doctors in Bismarck, who was a year younger than me, who was also a state champion wrestler and was on the wrestling team with me. From the guy that hit my mother, whose son apparently was on the wrestling team with me. I don't really know him. He probably wasn't varsity. He's probably like a backup on the JV team. So I didn't recognize his name, but they knew me from that, which was just an accident. They didn't hit my mom on purpose. It was just one of those things that was just an accident, which is quite scary because I was in bed falling asleep. This was like 1 a.m., and Imabel's like, I'm going to check my messages before going to bed. And we get this message from my brother's wife who says that my mom was hit by a truck. She's in the hospital. There's no other details that's known. And then, you know, that's rough to hear. Be hit by a truck. Well, what kind of truck? Was it a pickup? Was it a semi? Your mind kind of starts to run wild, and it's very natural to go to that worst case scenario. But trying to live as a person of faith, I try not to think about it, but of course you think about, so I definitely don't try to vocalize it. So thank all you guys for the kind words of support, the prayers. Hopefully, the third reason I didn't mention why I also recorded that video was my mom, this is her first year of retirement. And you think about it, she's in her first year of retirement when she should really be enjoying life. And she gets hit by a truck. You know, people always say, well, you could just get hit by a bus at any time and just die. Well, this shows you how literally true that is. And it's like, it's almost like I can't not say something because all these thoughts are going through my head. You work your whole life, and many people don't like their jobs. My mom did. My mom was a school teacher all her life and a very good school teacher. Really put her heart into it. And I think she really loved being a school teacher. So it's not like she had this job where she was merely a wage slave. She loved what she was doing. She felt it was rewarding. But she should really be enjoying herself now that she's retired. And what happens? You get hit by a truck. So thank you guys for that. That's something I wanted to get out of the way and mention that and give thanks to you. But also, it's Father's Day weekend, so happy Father's Day to me, right? No, well, seriously, happy Father's Day to all you fathers out there, to all you guys that will be future fathers, to all you people out there that have a father. Be sure to remember him and give him some love. We have to remember where we came from. And of course, fathers are so important. It seems like in our society that men are not appreciated so much these days, but we still have this one day of year for now. And we're not trying to say that moms aren't important. We know that. I love moms. In fact, I posted on my YouTube community page, which if you haven't been looking at my YouTube community page, all you have to do is go to the channel, and then there's a tab that says community. I post photos, I post updates, I post polls, so be sure to check that out. But a few weeks ago, I posted a photo of me, and in the background was a statue of Mary, Jesus' mom. And I was shirtless in it. This was a photo that I had a friend snap. I was out exercising, and I saw this kind of cool statue, and I thought, hey, let's put that in the background. That'd be kind of neat, kind of interesting. And a few people, first of all, complained that I had a statue of Jesus' mom. It's kind of like, well, gee, how could that be offensive to someone? But some people complained about that. Then one guy complained that I was shirtless in the photo, and that's not right. That's not Christian. Well, first of all, you know who else was shirtless? Jesus when he was crucified. You want to know who was naked? Adam and Eve. They were naked, and they didn't start putting clothes on until after they sinned, till after they ate the forbidden fruit, because then they felt ashamed of themselves and ashamed of their bodies. So being, shirtless, or it's not necessarily bad. Now, I'm not saying that it's good that we go to Instagram and we see all these women in yoga pants and sports bras and bikinis, and especially to us guys, that does something. And it's not necessarily a good thing to see that. We see too much of that in our society, definitely. But I want to say happy Father's Day to all you guys. What do you have to say? Happy Father's Day? So I haven't been looking at the chat while this has been going on, while I've been doing this intro. But thank you guys for joining me. Whether you're watching this live or you're watching the recording, I'm trying to look at your comments now. And how does it feel being a father? Well, I'm going to have a lot of stuff coming out about this. And I think a lot of it's going to be enlightening. Some of it I don't want to get too much into this morning, but I've been telling people this. It flips your world upside down. And what someone said to me was, it flips your world upside right. And that's exactly right. It gives you a totally different perspective on the world. I've been listening to some streams by Owen Benjamin, if you know who that guy is. And one thing that he mentioned about Steven Crowder, of course, has been in the news a lot lately. But something that he mentioned was he called Owen Benjamin used to be a writer for... Owen Benjamin used to be a joke writer for Steven Crowder, and he used to be good friends with him. But one of the things he mentioned was that Crowder is childless. And I get what he's saying. It's not necessarily meant to be like an insult necessarily, but what he's trying to say is it gives you, you don't have the same perspective as someone that is a parent. It somehow, like I said, it flips your world upside down, or as someone corrected me and said, it flips your world upside right. That's exactly what it is. It's completely changed my outlook on the life, like some of my philosophies, the way I think about things, and it's become a very spiritual experience. And I hear that from a lot of guys that become fathers. I hear a lot of guys that were atheists, and then when they have a kid, all of a sudden they become this super religious guy, and it's like, man, how does that happen? Well, now I kind of get some of that stuff, how they can feel that way. And for some people, it happens differently. Some people, right away, as soon as they see the baby come out, their world changes. Other guys, it might take a month, it might take a couple months, maybe it takes a year, I don't know. But Donald Cerrone, who's a UFC fighter, he had a very interesting story that I heard. After he became a father, when he was in training camp getting ready for a fight, people said, they say being a dad changes you. Has it changed you? And he'd say, no, that's stupid. I'm still the same old guy. But then when he was getting ready, when he was walking out to his fight for the first time after being a dad, he saw his son in the audience, and he stopped and he looked at his son on the way out, and then it's like his whole world flipped, and he's like, okay, now I know why I'm doing this. And he had a totally different, in that moment, he had a totally different perspective and outlook, not just on his fighting career, but on life in general, so I get that now. So let me try and look at some of the other comments. People wishing my mom well, people for Father's Day. So thank you guys so much. You notice that I don't have Imabel here, which is okay. This one, I haven't done a live stream in a long time, and I had a lot I wanted to say to you guys, but now I have this guy here. Let me check my camera here. Make sure he's still seen. Is this the co-host, the new co-host of these streams of my videos? Is it the Travis and Cade show? What do you think, Cade, the K-man? He's just sitting here enjoying himself. This kid is actually a pretty good kid, and one of the things that I want to tell people about being a father, even though we're celebrating that and being a parent, it's wonderful, it's great, it's the greatest thing that you can probably do with your life, but it's not easy. Especially this beginning part of having a baby. It's true what people say, you are going to be going without sleep. You are going to be in sleep deprivation. So that's something we found out, and of course it's much harder on Imabel, so God bless Imabel for being strong and being able to put up with this. And something about my wife, Imabel, she has just been a total trooper. Just seeing her, how she grows every day as a mom. I grow every day as a father and as a human being. And Imabel is just watching her, it just blows my mind. Even though she's tired a lot of the time. But she's just so strong, and the way she deals with this, and the way she takes care of our baby with love, even when she's tired and frustrated, it's just awesome to see. So, hopefully I'm getting all your comments in real time here. So, but there you go. How are you doing, Cade? Oh, you can't speak yet? So, oh, by the way, I know a lot of guys, this is something else I wanted to throw in. Yeah, it is, seems to be a good mic. How's the audio working out for you guys? Leave a comment in the chat so I can make sure that this is working well for you. I think it is. I tested it once this week and it worked really well. But leave a comment, let me know how this audio is. But I realize a lot of guys, they watch these streams from America, and one of the reasons they watch this channel is they live in America, and the way they see it from their perspective is I live in kind of an exotic place, so they want me to always throw in at least, I realize that not everyone watches these streams and my videos just for me and whatever, and how I feel about things, but they want some local flavor. And I was trying to think, well, what could I share with you guys that's unique to this land that I'm currently living in? What's interesting? And something, I'm taking care of this baby. I watch a lot of TV. I watch a lot of the classic TV shows. Like lately, Three's Company has been on TV. That we've been watching some of The Nanny because that's what's been on. Baywatch, Knight Rider's been on. So I watch a lot of these shows that they've been showing here. But those, of course, aren't local shows. And I like sitcoms, too. And you try and talk to people. What is the funniest TV show in the history of American TV? Well, it depends who you ask. You'll get a different answer. And that's a very tough question to answer. There's so much to choose from. But the other question is, for some local flavor, you guys, you're kind of wondering, what about the local shows? I bet a lot of you guys are wondering, what is the funniest show to ever come out of the Philippines? Well, I have an answer for you. The funniest Filipino TV show ever has got to be Victor Magtanggol. And you're probably, what's that, Imabel? What? she's going, what? But the funniest Filipino show has got to be this show, Victor Magtanggol. And I know a lot of you guys are saying, well, what the heck is that? That sounds weird. this is a true story. We flew in once from when we were staying in America, and we got a call from someone, and they said, yeah, you got an offer to do the show Victor Magtanggol while you were away, but, you couldn't do it, obviously, because you were out of town. And I said, well, what the heck is that? It was a new show that started while we were in America. And Imabel said, what is that? So I checked out the show. I never appeared on an episode. I guess like that ship sailed, like whatever character they wanted me to do while I was gone. They never brought back the idea, I guess. But I sat down to watch the show Victor Magtanggol, and that truly is the funniest show I've ever seen. Forget about these shows: Three's Company, Seinfeld, I Love Lucy, Honeymooners, Dick Van Dyke, what have you. None of those shows hold a candle in terms of comedy gold compared to Victor Magtanggol. Victor Magtanggol, man, that show, not only is it funny, that show is cutting edge. And I know a lot of you guys want to learn to speak some Filipino. And if you want to learn to speak Filipino, one of the best things that can help you, especially after you have some of the basics down, is to watch Filipino TV. So if you watch Victor Magtanggol, you will be enlightened. Trust me, my friends. Ilabel just yelled at me. She's from the other room. She said, is it still airing? I don't think it is still airing. I'm sure there's clips of it all over YouTube or where. But the way Filipino TV shows work is different here. That was actually, this, not joking, that was a very big TV show. But the way shows work here, it's not like in America, where as long as a show is rating high, they're going to keep it on the air they're just going to keep pumping out season after season, year after year. For Filipino TV shows, that's actually not really done. What happens is they'll do a show, even if it's popular, unless it's super, super popular, like Ang Provinciano, which with it's a cop show. That show's been on a long time now, kind of, for like at least a few years, 3-4 years. I think that's been on, and that's considered long. But here they typically have a show, they come up with the concept, they do a show, and they only keep it on one season, sometimes 2 seasons, 2-3 seasons, if it's super, super popular, like that cop show, Ang Provinciano. I'm looking at the comments. What's that?
Ang Provinciano.
Yeah, Ang Provinciano. That's been on probably 3-4 years now, and that's not common. That's on the other network. I'm reading your comments now. Back to reading your comments. John Escape says, will you go see your mom soon with the baby? Well, I think I have to, because that's another thing that brought up feelings for me was, like, what if my mom had died or something, God forbid? She wouldn't have even gotten to meet her new grandson. So that's something I'm going to have to remedy. My dad's really aching to meet this guy, too. I actually didn't mean to do this much of the stream with him, but you can see he's quite the calm guy. He's quite happy here sitting on Dad's lap. And a lot of the times that will calm. He always gets calm, like when I sit him on my lap. Like I said, sometimes we watch these TV shows like Knight Rider or whatever. He likes that. He has a good time with that. Gives Mom a bit of a break because she works so hard. Shirley says, CGI Kamatis. I guess she's speaking about Victor Magtanggol. Are you a fan, Shirley, of Victor Magtanggol? Happy Father's Day. Well, happy Father's Day to all you. If you're a girl watching this, this is a day to celebrate our dads. Dads are so important as our moms, but the thing is, they do radically different things. They help the child in very different ways, and they provide different things. Michael V says, audio's okay, but video frame rate isn't good. Yeah, I see that. That's kind of a YouTube problem, unfortunately. I think on the recording, it'll be fine, I'm sure. At least we'll see. We have those problems because we still have Filipino internet, not the fastest in the world, especially compared to the United States, But even if you watch live streams from there, they have problems and such too. People with fast internet. Definitely Singapore and places like that have very fast internet. We're on that Filipino internet, and also it's just YouTube. Jason Jones asks, is your wife Emma going to start her own channel again? Immabel had a YouTube channel, and she did post some videos there, but then she kind of...
I just got a subscriber a few minutes ago.
She says she just got a subscriber a few minutes ago. That's a good question, because she could have some very interesting mommy videos and videos about other stuff. So that's a very good question, but it's up to her. Right now, of course, she's busy taking care of this guy and doing an amazing job of that. You know, this mic seems to be working well, I think, for you guys, but I need like one of those things to hold it, to clip it in. Like, I don't know if it's a little awkward that I'm holding it by the little tripod that it's attached here. YGA Ideation says, can I have a shout out? You just got one. So it's interesting to see you guys in the room, because some of you guys, I don't really necessarily see you actively commenting on my videos. I'm trying to check I'm just going to do a quick audio
things
check
to hold it, to clip it in, like,
yeah, the audio on this sounds pretty darn good. I'm just refreshing here.
Hey,
And then Immabel's in the room now. Do you want to make an appearance, Immabel? Maybe people will... I just checked it. You can come in here. So we can have Immabel make an appearance. Like I said, she used to be my co-host, and it was easier doing these things with her. But I have a new co-host, I think.
Say hi, kid. Say hi.
I really didn't mean to have this guy on my lap all this time, but he's just so calm sitting here. It's funny because he seems to look a lot like me as a baby. And Immabel was in a store the other day, and one of the sales girls said, "Oh, your baby looks foreign," which I think that was a compliment, was it not? She meant that in a positive way.
She said she would want to look for a foreign boyfriend, husband.
Oh, she said she wants a foreign husband herself. Was she cute? Was she pretty? For any guys that are watching that are interested, looking for a wife?
It depends on their type, but yeah, she's fine. Oh, kid. I have to wipe you. Did you spit off? Hello.
He's really growing like a weed, this kid.
Hi there, guys. How are you? Thank you for all the heartwarming greetings and comments and messages. We really appreciate everything that you've sent us. Your, comforting words. Hope you guys are doing well. Happy Father's Day, by the way, to all the fathers in the world.
And how's it been being a mom? Honestly, the good and the not so good you can share with us.
Well, definitely, just like what I said in our video talking about reacting to the gender reveal, or no, the other video. It was painful when I gave birth to him, but it's really a very fulfilling experience. Same thing now as a mother. It's not easy, but I'm really thankful to God's grace that I'm able to, to do it. I do my best, and I know God is helping me with it. And the reward is priceless. Just seeing Kate smile every morning, and
he gives you lots of smiles.
Oh yeah, the thing with Kate is, I love it when I wake up in the morning and I see him awake, and I'll just look at him and smile without saying anything, and he'll easily smile back at you. Or even without smiling first, he'll just give you a smile. Right, kid? I hope he gives a smile to you guys.
This kid is actually Mr. Personality already. And he loves smiling. His mom can always get smiles out of him.
And he laughs a lot when he's in the mood. Should I take him?
Well, in a little bit. He's fine for now. Something that was kind of interesting to me when he was born, like looking at the video. If you guys haven't watched his video being the birth of Cade, if you haven't watched that, like something that I noticed when I was looking at the video, when I was editing the video, was when he came out, like I don't know if he was a doctor or if he was an intern or a nurse, but one of the guys said that first minute of life, like, because they're getting his readings and stuff, making sure he's okay.
Right.
But he said first minute of life, and that's kind of weird for me to hear because it's like first minute of life. This guy's been alive for 8 months.
In my tummy.
Yeah, just not. I get what he means. First minute of life outside of your body into this world. So, but he's been alive. He was alive for 8 months before that in your tummy. He started out as a tiny guy that's not even noticeable, and then he grew. We're watching him month by month grow, which you don't really see him growing, but you see you growing. So you know he's taking up more space. And then there was be those times, and you'd be like, oh, you'd point at your stomach, and you'd be like, oh my God, what is this? And they're like, what's this hard thing coming out of my stomach? And you would feel it, and be sure enough, there's something hard. It was probably like a foot or something like that he's pressing on her stomach from the inside. But there would be like some like weird hard object coming out of her stomach.
It's like a bump.
Yeah, like a big one too, but he's in there with like his foot, maybe his heel pressing, and then like you can actually see and feel this big bump protruding from your stomach.
Do you want to come to Mama? Maybe I'll take him for now.
Okay, you want to take him?
He wants to move more. Take a break.
You want to take a break?
Yeah.
He's taking a commercial break? You're not taking a smoke break, are you, Kate?
Hungry. Are you hungry now, baby? Hold on. Oh, because he's wet.
He's got the... Okay, there you go.
We have to wipe. Hold on.
You can see he's been a good kid, so when you see him in the videos being calm and stuff like that, you can see that's not fake. This is a live video, and you see just how chill he is. I think he wants to eat now. Not on camera. We can't show that off.
See you later, guys.
So, let me get back to these comments here. John Escape, thank you very much for the $2. The super chat is enabled, and it's very, he didn't leave a question. Normally when you leave a super chat, you can type in a question or a comment, or he just gave the $2. He had some other questions and comments I saw. Thank you so much, John, because it's so important to support this channel, like either through Patreon or through the super chats or what have you, because as you know, everything gets demonetized, everything gets censored. That's been all over the news, and I've been thinking a lot about this. This is something I actually meant to talk about. Let me adjust this. This is actually something I was meaning to talk about for a long time, but now it's been all over the news, all the rampant censorship. They're just deleting channels that they happen to like. No warning. They don't tell you why. There's a popular channel called Black Pigeon Speaks that they just randomly deleted. And this is not any kind of extremist channel by any means. This is pretty moderate stuff. They just randomly delete. Now, they reenacted it because this was a very popular guy, a fairly big guy, and all his supporters went and complained to YouTube. Other popular YouTubers did videos. So then they just reinstated it with not even saying why they reinstated it. They deleted it. Then they just reinstated it after everyone complained, all without saying a word. So we're all going to have to start moving, of course, to alternatives like BitChute. And for me, especially now that these are turning very much into family videos, something that concerns me is I've been watching a lot of family channels, and I don't know if a lot of you guys realize this, but about a month ago, YouTube had they enacted a new policy on videos featuring minors, which obviously we have a minor in the video now. They're going to not allow comments on those videos and those channels. So most family vlogging channels and such, they don't allow comments on those channels anymore. And that they say that's about protecting children, but obviously, if you followed everything that's been going on with YouTube the past couple years, they don't want you guys communicating, because we don't just convey information, share information from publishing these videos for you, but there's a lot of great information shared with people leaving comments and people going back, communicating with each other in the comments. Ultimately, they don't want the you in YouTube, it's them tube, where they just want stuff from major media companies like CNN, MSNBC, whatever. They just want to push that corporate stuff. And like, this has been going on for 3-4 years at least now, but it's been slowly progressing to where now it's really hitting ahead. And we're not quite there yet where people are going to leave YouTube in the masses, especially since it's a lot of these more political YouTubers that are being censored. It has to start more and more censoring just the regular people, like these big vloggers and stuff like that. And you need to get the other demographic, which YouTube, it mainly markets itself to kids 10 to 20 years old. When you can get those people, the 10 to 20-year-olds, to all decide, okay, we need to migrate, that's when it'll be the end of YouTube. And I know it seems like dealing with corporations like this, it seems like an insurmountable giant, and, oh my God, this is going to last forever. How can we ever, this will be here forever. But trust me, I'm old enough to remember when MySpace was the most popular website. And now where is it now? You ask a kid maybe that's 20 years old, hey man, remember MySpace? Did you have a MySpace page? And they'll be like, what are you talking about? They won't even know what it is. So thank you very much, John Escape, for your support, the super chat. We do appreciate it. It helps us bring these videos. You can support us through Patreon is a great place to support us too, so we can keep pumping out this content for you. So let me get to some of these other comments. Terrence Brown, who supports us on Patreon, he asks how much Cade weighed when he was born. Well, it's actually shown in the video. He was small, though, because he came out at 8 months, kind of like I was referencing earlier. But he was, I think, like a kilo smaller than me when I was born. But he only had 8 months in there. I had a full 9 months, or slightly more than 9 months. But what's most important was he's healthy, and it was probably actually kind of a blessing. I talked about this in the one video where we talked about the so-called gender reveal video, which I uploaded like about a week ago. My main concern when he was being born so much early like that, was the health of him, and it was so stressful, so much anxiety. It was more than just the normal anxiety that an expectant father has when his wife is delivering, because I had a genuine concern for the health of my child. But it all turned out to be a blessing in disguise, because I think it was easier on Imabel that way, and I really didn't expect her to make it to her expectant due date, because before Imabel gave birth, everyone was looking at her, myself included, going like, wow, you are huge. They're like, you're still a month away from having this baby? How can that be? You're so big. So I didn't expect her to have a baby when she had a baby that early, but I didn't think that she was going to make it all the way to the due date. I figured I'd have the baby maybe a couple weeks, at least 2 to 3 weeks after when he was born. So let me see. I'm trying to go through your comments. Christopher De Bona, praying for you and your family, especially your mom. Well, thank you very much. He says, my Filipino wife and I are trying to get pregnant. You are very blessed. Boy, that's a funny thing that you mentioned that, because I didn't know so many couples had problems getting pregnant. And like, I was at the bank the other day, and I was talking to the lady there at the bank. Her and her husband, they tried for several years to have a baby before they had one. And like for me and Imabel, I remember after like 2 months, I was like, man, is there something wrong? It hasn't happened yet. Like, being so naive, I thought it just happens like that. It happens like magic, where it's just that easy. And I didn't know so many couples had these kind of problems. I think something that helps, though, is Imabel. She'd been working out for like 2 or 3 years, keeping in good physical shape. And I think that really made her pregnancy go a lot easier. Imabel actually didn't have too many problems, like with morning sickness or anything like that. However, in that video where we went to California, where we flew in there, Imabel was in a wheelchair, and all these people left nasty comments about her being in a wheelchair. And it's like, you idiot, the wheelchair's not even for her. It's for my kid who couldn't walk yet, obviously. Still can't walk. So, but that's okay. It's kind of fun to read those comments, even when people hate on you, or they're trying to goad you into giving some kind of information that you don't want to give or you're not ready to give. And I actually wasn't planning on... Not only was I not planning on uploading a video of her giving birth, I didn't even know if I was going to take a video about that. But even the announcement video where we announced she was pregnant, I wasn't even going to do an announcement video where she's pregnant. But when my parents were here and we went to the doctor with her and I started doing a video, I was just taking video of her ultrasound process just as a personal family video that I wasn't going to show anyone. But I thought it was so beautiful and so wonderful. I'm like, how could I not show this to people? This is like one of the best moments of my life I captured. And if I'm uploading these vlogs to YouTube, why would I hide that? Like, for instance, one thing that a lot of people have asked me about and wanted to see, they've wanted to see my wedding video. I haven't uploaded any video from my wedding. I have video of my wedding, but I just haven't uploaded any of it. But people have been hounding me for years. Like, oh, you're not married, that's why there's no video of it. It's just because I wanted to save a special moment for myself. A beautiful, wonderful moment of my life. And my wedding, something I'm very proud of. It was exactly like I would like to have one. Men aren't into weddings, if we're being honest. It's not a thing that men dream about. But I just wanted to have a small, intimate wedding. And that's what we had. Just, really close friends and family, that kind of thing. And it happened, I got married during a very, very stressful time in my life. One of the most stressful times in my life. But that day was actually very nice because I just could forget about everything else and just kind of focus on that, live in that moment. And I even remember before the wedding that day when I woke up, I went and I swam in the ocean. I just kind of relaxed, got a little sunshine, a little bit of relaxation. Then went back and showered and went to the wedding. And then after the wedding, we had this lovely small reception where we had really good food. And it was just a wonderful, great day in my life. And it wasn't something that I was trying to be showy with. It wasn't something that I had to impress people with. We could just have a very small, intimate thing. And I do have photos and I have video. I've just never posted any of them. And it's not because I'm ashamed of it. It's just a very nice thing that I'm keeping for myself. Maybe I will at some time, though. Who knows? Let's see here. Shirley says, do you have a favorite Filipino YouTuber? Well, I don't want to get too much into the people that I watch on YouTube, but the people I watch on YouTube, they're not really probably the type of thing that people that watch my videos and the content that I produce, it's not really the kind of stuff that you'd probably expect. It's not anything like what I do. I already mentioned someone that I watched, and maybe some people won't like me just for mentioning that guy. Oh, I've been watching some of Owen Benjamin's streams lately, and I like what he does. And is he a little bit of a crazy guy? Some people think he's a crazy guy. Maybe he is, but you know what? We need a little bit of crazy in this world. We need a guy to come and shake things up, and we need a guy to come and tell us some hard truths. And it's not that I agree with everything the guy says or thinks he's always right, and I don't think he tries to say that he's right about everything. He just kind of puts some stuff out there, and he lets people kind of decide what they believe on their own. And I only started watching some of his stuff very recently. But I tuned into a few of his streams when he was still drinking and he was getting drunk. I didn't really like it, but now that I started watching him after he quit drinking, and he's pretty sharp. Maybe you hate him, though. I don't know. It depends on your perspective and where you're coming from it. But I try and have an open mind about it. But like I said, I don't want to get into too much of the people I watch. What's funny is sometimes I'll leave comments on videos that I watch. And me, from the time I've been on YouTube, it's always been this way where I comment on probably 80 to 90% of videos I watch. I leave a comment on. A lot of the times the comments are more fun than the actual video. So it's funny, I'll leave a comment on a video and people will be like, oh my goodness, I didn't expect you to be here. I didn't expect you to watch this type of video. But then they're very happy because it's like you're in a secret club. And we have a super chat from Christopher DeBona. He also knows about some other kind of secret stuff he stumbled upon that I've been working on. And Christopher DeBona, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. It is appreciated. It does help us bring this content to all of you guys. And he says, $10 for the handsome co-host. I believe you are Catholic and Ema is born again, non-denominational. What will you teach your child? My wife and I are split on this for ourselves. So, Christopher, I take it, is a Catholic and his wife is a Protestant.
I think it's the other way around.
Imabel says she thinks it's the other way around. That Christopher is the Protestant. I'm guessing DeBona is maybe a Catholic. He's likely Catholic with a last name like that. That's what I'm guessing, just based off of DeBona, that he's the Catholic one. But one of them are Protestant, one of them is Catholic. And here's something about me that I've been meaning to talk about, and I'll probably get more in depth in future streams or a future video. I've been studying religion a lot. Since my kid has been born, that's like my hobby. That's why I study religion. And this started maybe like a week before he was born, actually. Maybe somehow I knew that my world was going to change, even though he was coming so much early. But if you're not Christian or you're not religious or you're kind of confused on some of these terms, basically there's two types of Christians at the heart. You have Catholics and you have Protestants. Now, until about 500 years ago, all Christians were Catholics. And then you had this German dude, Martin Luther. He was a Catholic priest, and he broke away and he started his own religion called Lutheran. That's something that we have in North Dakota. That's kind of like our mind, like when I grew up, almost everyone was Catholic, but a lot of people, I think, of Scandinavian ancestry, they tend to be Lutheran. People that are from countries like Sweden, Norway, that's the dominant religion in those places. But Martin Luther, he broke away from the Catholic Church, and he had his reasons for doing it because he felt there's a lot of corruption in the Catholic Church. And boy, that sure hasn't changed. But is Martin Luther a good guy or a bad guy? Well, it's one of those things that totally depends on who you ask. If you ask a Catholic, maybe he's a bad guy. If you ask a Lutheran or a Protestant, he's a hero probably. But there's two philosophies you could have. Should we clean up the corruption in the Catholic Church and get rid of all the perverts, all the weirdos, all the criminals that are within the Vatican and our churches on a smaller level in our country? Or should we just say, oh, it's not worth doing and start our own religion? So for about 1,500 years, if you were Christian, you were Catholic. If you heard about the Christians being fed to lions in Rome and such in the Colosseum, that was actually Catholics. If you heard about when they went to fight in the Middle East with the Muslims, that was Catholics doing that. So we only had Catholics for 1,500 years. That was the only kind of Christian. And then Martin Luther started his own. Sorry for the whole lesson. I think this needs to be explained. Martin Luther broke away and started his own thing. So then you had Catholics and you had Lutherans. Well, from then, everyone started breaking away from that, and then we had everyone starting their own churches, their own denomination, or their own religion, whatever you want to call it. So now we're to the point where we have Catholics, and then we have Protestants, which there's actually thousands of different types of Protestants. I've heard estimates that there's in between 40,000 and 100,000 different types of Protestants, which can kind of make sense if you think about it. Because some of these non-denominational churches, they're almost like their own denomination on themselves. Whether it's Lakewood Church or some of these other ones, these big churches that we know about. Hillsong, I think that's Justin Bieber's church. But how do you have a relationship? What you do with the kids, it can be problematic to say the least. In some countries like Ireland and whatever, Protestants and Catholics literally battle each other. I would just suggest that you should both try to study together and come to your own conclusion. But there's some different philosophies on it that are quite interesting. I heard someone say, and I'm going to try not to make my wife angry about this, but I heard someone say that if you become a Protestant, it's an emotional decision. If you become a Catholic, it's an intellectual decision.
I used to be Catholic, but it became a Christian.
So I think I'm not going to start any fights here. The reality is there's good Catholics, there's bad Catholics, there's good Protestants, there's bad Protestants, there's good Catholic churches, there's bad Catholic churches, there's good Protestant churches, there's bad Protestant churches, but this is going to be a long process with you and your wife, something that you're going to have to not only talk about, but you're going to have to really study these things, and it might take you a long time to come to a decision. It's something that could, possibly even take years to figure out. Speaking about Owen Benjamin, I heard him say something very interesting that I think is very true, that someone that's on the path to becoming a Christian is more righteous than someone that's been a Christian for many years. And I think that's true in most circumstances. You'll find these people that are devout Christians that talk about being a Christian, and they're just total jerks, they're just total buttheads, and you think, my God, why would I want to be around these people? And it turns off good people from wanting to become a Christian. And then I think a lot of people, when they're searching for the answer and stuff, that's when they start living a very righteous life. So my own path and committing to my own faith myself and having a kid, having that spiritual experience, I'm seeing exactly what he means. After my son was born, and this was kind of discussed in the video about how I'm getting a look off camera. I was going to tell a great story here.
How did you get back to having your faith and stuff?
She just said, how did I get back to having my faith and stuff? Well, Imabel was definitely a big part of it on influencing me. So that was one of the major factors. It's actually kind of a long story to get into now. I was going to tell a different story. But it's been a long process. Like some people, I just watched this good documentary from one of the guys from the rock band Korn. I think it's called Loud Crazy Love. Crazy with a K, like the band Korn. They spell corn with the letter K. Loud Crazy Love, and this is about this guy from this wild rock band, and he became this devout, born-again Christian. And for him, it's a very common story. The guy was a total drug addict, and he had a daughter, and he knew he had to get clean, but he's a total drug addict, living a super sinful lifestyle that was doing a lot of harm to him and his family, and he needed to be saved from this, especially the drugs. And coming to Christ did that. That cured him from his drug addiction, and now he's been clean for quite a few years. He's had some other problems in life, and that was mentioned in the documentary. Unfortunately, they didn't get into some of that because that could have been probably a more interesting story. Like after he came to Christ and he cured his drug addiction and he committed to Christ as well as taking care of his daughter, he had problems where he went broke and he lost everything. It wasn't an easy thing for him, but they just kind of mentioned that. Unfortunately, it's like, well, gee, I want to hear more about that, how this guy went broke and how bad his life was after he committed to Jesus. Because a lot of people, they think, especially if you're into the prosperity gospel, you think that that's going to help you out and make you more successful. And I like the prosperity gospel, though I like it a lot less recently. Like with Pastor John Gray driving a freaking Lamborghini or buying his wife a Lamborghini after he allegedly cheats on her.
He does not represent.
Imabel's yelling at me, informing me that he does not represent all. Yeah, absolutely. And one of the ways I came to faith was not just through Imabel and seeing how much strength she gets from it, how much it empowers her. But Imabel kind of turned me on to Joel Osteen, and I started really liking Joel Osteen. But I never really committed to being a Christian or anything like that. I remember my first time when Imabel played Joel Osteen for me, I thought to myself, I kind of had a revelation. And I thought to myself after hearing him speak, gee, I don't know if what this guy says is true, but I hope it is. And that was very powerful. And part of it was just getting older myself. Just getting older, you start to realize things that Christianity actually teaches, but you start to realize is really the way things are, the way that you should live. Like one of those things is I quit watching most R-rated movies with a lot of filthy content, movies and TV shows. If there's a lot of swearing or a lot of nudity in them, I cut out maybe 90% of that stuff. I actually barely watch any kind of mainstream entertainment now, except for old shows. We've been watching Little House on the Prairie, which, by the way, man, that is probably the best Christian TV show ever made. It's I don't think there's ever been another show that has that kind of I don't think there's been another TV show that has Christianity presented the way it's presented in that TV show, and it's very inspiring and great show. Worth rewatching, definitely. I'm sure they're showing it on TV wherever you live. You can find it on the internet. But Christopher DeBona says you should watch some R.C. Sproul videos.
R.C. Roman Catholic.
Oh, Roman Catholic Sproul videos and John Piper. I've been studying Christianity as well. Theology is deep. Isn't John Piper, I forget what they call his sect, but he's not a Catholic. He's some kind of Protestant. Or I'm thinking of John MacArthur, I think. There's a guy named John MacArthur, whatever they are. Maybe John Piper. I'm not familiar with him. Maybe he is a Catholic. So are you a Catholic, Christopher? He's even named after Christ himself, Christopher. And I heard something recently that Jews do not name their children Chris because it's being named after Christ. We have Peter Rocco in the room. Good to see you here. Long time no see, my friend. Let me scroll back through some of these comments. Anthony Glass is in the room. Thank you for joining me. Again, you used to watch these streams. I know Peter Rocco, you would watch these streams. It's nice to see some familiar faces. After not doing this for a year, and we're having a very deep theological discussion, so it's kind of a funny time to come in, but my life has obviously changed a lot. It's About Time says, my siblings loved Little House. It wasn't until later that I fell in love with it and watched all the seasons. Libraries are great places to get all the DVD. Yeah, that's a good recommendation too. Libraries are a great place. You can always go on one of those websites, if you know what I'm talking about. That may or may not be a legal website, but you can always find that stuff there. I'm not telling you guys to go do that, but it's also always on TV. I noticed when we were in America, they were showing Little House on the Prairie. Here in the Philippines, on our cable system, it's channel 137, Hits Channel. That's the only channel I watch, basically, is Hits Channel. But Little House on the Prairie, it's just such a great Christian show. Even if it's made by Jews, I'll give credit where credit's due. And it's not obviously all Jews that make it. At least the main guy, Michael Landon, not his real name. He's half Jewish, half Irish, but also as a religion, he's in the Jewish religion, so not just racially, but also, it's kind of funny because, you know, if they do a DNA test for someone, it's like, it's not going to say they're Muslim, it's not going to say they're Catholic, but it will say if you're Jewish, so that's something to think about. Peter Rocco, Simply Rocco, thank you very much for the $10 super chat. I definitely appreciate it because, like I said, it helps us keep bringing these videos for you. And we definitely have some priorities in life now that we have our boy here. Cade is here. And thank you to everyone that supports us on Patreon. The link is in the description. I'm trying to get to these comments here. Robert Ricker, good to see you. But let me see here. Christopher says he's Catholic. See, there I was right. My instincts. Oh. Christopher. I'm listening to him, Abel. Okay, she's looking up R.C. Sproul, what you mentioned. She's also producing this show, I think, now. Christopher says he's Catholic, but his faith is changing. My wife is born again and used to attend CCF in Cebu. I'm not sure what CCF is.
That's where we were going to go on our anniversary, our birthday, but it was closed already.
Imabel said we were going to go there one time. I take it that's a Protestant church. Protestant. Imabel doesn't like that term, Protestant. Protestant literally means protesting against the Catholic Church, but it's an interesting story that Christopher has there. And, most of the speakers I listen to are Protestants. In fact, I found this really great podcast. If you go to the Phil Robertson YouTube channel, he has this new podcast, the Duck Dynasty guys. There's this new podcast. It's called Unashamed. I watched 3 episodes so far. One of them was actually a 2-parter on Genesis, and they talk about it. These are kind of guys that you look at, and I like to think maybe I'm this sophisticated, smart guy, and there's these redneck guys, but they talk about this stuff very intelligently, it's very thought-provoking, and they can change the way you look at it. So if you're looking for a good Christian podcast, there's not many episodes. I think there's only 7 episodes available on YouTube. It's fairly new, but I watched 3 episodes so far. I've really liked it. Really great Christian podcast, and these guys are Protestants. I love what they do. Most of the speakers I listen to are Protestants. You get kind of different things from some of these Protestants. It's kind of fun. It's kind of funny because you go to a Catholic church or an Orthodox church, and they can black pill you on some of the dark realities of the world and some of the things that goes on. But sometimes it's like, man, this can be a bit much. I got to go to one of those Protestant churches and hear some prosperity gospel. I got to hear some good news to kind of cheer up. And I do believe, because there's different, it's kind of funny because Christian's such a broad term. That's kind of why I don't like it. It means so many different things to different people. And like you have these very feel-good churches, and then you have like the very traditional churches, which can be very black-pilling. And it can be a bitter pill to swallow some of that. So you kind of need a balance of it, I feel like works pretty well. Let me see some of these. Peter Rocco says he almost forgot how to do a super chat. Well, I am glad you did not forget, Peter. We super appreciate it. It's funny. I had that one video, the first video where my dad comes over and we announced that Imabel was pregnant with our baby. That got so many views, got like 150,000 views or something. I haven't checked lately. But it's getting a copyright claim that I'm trying to fight from some company that claims they own the rights to a snippet of the music I use, even though I got the music from a Creative Commons website that the artist uploaded to, and you can't change those licenses. Legally, I should be able to. So right now, the money's supposed to be going to them, but I'm fighting it. So, anyways, I won't get too much on that. Peter says he has 4 kids. I know those obligations too well that I mentioned. Jason Jones says, going to work. Have a good evening. Thank you for joining us while you could. You can watch the replay, of course. I hope you do. Alter Ego says, hello from Bosnia. Well, that's far off. I hope everything's going well in Bosnia. It's one of those things that Bosnia is a place that you don't hear about unless it's something bad, unfortunately. Kind of like the Philippines. In America, you don't hear about the Philippines unless it's something bad, like a terrorist attack or a volcano or a tsunami. Jonathan Hart says, what do you think about Mormonism? I really don't think about it, to be honest with you. I've met a number of Mormons, and they tend to be very nice people. I don't really look into it. I've always, too, and this is still my philosophy, I always try and respect people's religion, no matter what it is, no matter if they're a Muslim, no matter if they're a Mormon, if they're a Scientologist. I don't mess with people's religion because I know people take it seriously. So I don't get in religious debates or arguments with people. Sometimes I ask people about their religion, but that's because I just like to know where people are coming from in their philosophy. I had this question posted on Facebook. I actually deleted it because some people might see it as very political, but I posted something, and I was just I genuinely wanted answers from their perspective. I said I noticed a lot of American Protestants, and by the way, this is something that seems very unique to American Protestantism. But I said, why is it that American Protestants have such a love of Israel to a weird level? To me, this is really strange because in Christianity, typically you're told that the only way you can get into heaven is through accepting Jesus Christ. And by their nature, they reject Jesus Christ. So aren't they going to hell? People like Ben Shapiro? Well, he's probably going to hell no matter what, that guy. But not that I'm the decider or the judge of it, but he rejects Christ. And if you're a believing Christian, you believe Christ is God and you have to accept him. It's a prerequisite. Now, God might make an exception. It's in his power to do that if he sees fit. He can let anyone into heaven, whether they're Christian or not. But typically, it's considered a prerequisite that you have to accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior. But so that's kind of weird. Why do you want to serve them? And them specifically, they're into the nation, what's known as the country known as Israel, which is a secular nation. Most people are not religious there. The government is not really religious. The government does things like even provides, they pay for people to have abortions. And I'm just wondering, why do these American Protestants accept it? And the answers I got, some of them were quite surprising. One of them was, I didn't say this, I didn't want to get, because maybe you'd take it the wrong way, but what he basically described about Jews being the chosen people and we're meant to serve them and everything, basically it's like, my God, what you're talking about is racial supremacy. That's racial supremacy. Me, I'm not a racial supremacist, guys. But what he did was, and when you think about it, what is, we're told that white nationalism is so bad, white nationalism is so evil. Well, what is Zionism? Zionism is exactly the same thing, but for them. Why is that okay? Not only is that not accepted if you say that proudly in the government, if you're in charge of the military and you say, I'm a Zionist, they'll want to promote you. So it's pretty, some of the responses I got, they were really shocking. And if you're from the Catholic Church, whether you support the nation of Israel or not, they don't really care, I don't think. They kind of leave that up to you. Whether you like Jews or not, which, by the way, Jews and the nation of Israel are two separate things. A lot of Jews, especially in the United States, they don't support the nation of Israel, which is very interesting. And they don't want America to go to war to support. These are from Jewish people. So to say Jews and Israel, that's not necessarily the same thing. There's a lot of American Jews that do not want to support the government of Israel. So, but I got these answers, and like I said, one of them was literally, and I want to say is what you just described as racial supremacism. Me personally, hey, that's not something I believe in. I'm not a racial supremacist. I'm not Ben Shapiro, guys, where I'm going to, talk about that, how the American military should just go and kill anyone that's an enemy to this certain type of people. That's Ben Shapiro stuff, guys. And Robert Ricker says, Ben is only one Rogan tall. You are correct, sir. Some of you may not know the reference, but boy, this is a heated religious discussion. And it's funny, when I started this YouTube channel, I had two rules for it. Don't talk about politics. Don't talk about religion. And I really don't talk about politics. Some people think that I get political on this channel. I actually don't, and I don't see it that way. But in terms of this religious stuff that we're getting into, it's kind of like, well, man, I just had a child, and even over the years of running this, people are going to support you, they're not going to support you, people are going to complain, some people will like what you do. You can't always be afraid of hiding who you are and every belief that you have. I'm not here to ruffle anyone's feathers, I'm not here to upset anyone. I want to do the opposite. I want to make you guys happy, and it's funny because I just posted on my Facebook page the link to this before doing it, and someone said, Travis, I can't watch tonight. I'm kind of having a bad time in my life right now. They're very upset about something. I'm not sure what. And I said, well, I really hope you can watch, because I'm really going to try and be a blessing to everyone that watches that. I know that's a lofty goal, but if I can even just cheer you guys up for a short amount of time and make you smile, hopefully I'm doing that part. Because something about those prosperity gospel guys and those Joel Osteen type guys, something I think they do that's very important is that they help people feel better, and feeling good is very important. You can't be a good Christian if you're feeling down. It's very hard. If you're in the dumps, you can't do anything well. I know that whether you're trying to do a sport, like being happy makes you do everything well, whether it's athletics, whether it's creating art, whether it's just being a person and being good to people. It's much easier to do with a good positive attitude and feeling good, feeling happy. And a lot of those guys, they do give people much needed hope, and they bring people up to a better place, a better state of mind, and a better place in life. And I think that's valuable. Now, should they be driving around in a freaking Lamborghini like Pastor John Gray?
Well, there are priests who have like
I don't know about that.
And cars.
I don't know about that because I just heard this story about John Gray. And Joel Osteen, he's a very rich guy, and that's one of the complaints about him. But I've always kind of defended Joel Osteen because he doesn't take a salary from his church as to be a minister. He makes his money selling books, basically. And he's one of America's best-selling authors. He got, I think, a $9 million advance, and this is just an advance, before writing one of his books. He's that popular as an author. So, and that's kind of, well, there's nothing wrong with selling books and stuff, but now Pastor John Gray's doing the same thing, and he even has apparently a reality show on Oprah's network OWN, and he makes money from that. But he had a controversy that I saw where he bought his wife a Lamborghini. Some people, they say that's because he was cheating on his wife, and that was like to kind of make up with her and say sorry. What?
Sleeping.
Okay to sleeping. But, so, and even if he didn't get that from a church salary or from people tithing, it kind of makes me wonder, it's like, is Lakewood Church, Joel Osteen's church, is that just providing a platform for people to become salesmen? Makes you think, and it kind of makes me not like Joel Osteen less, even though I've always liked him very much, but it's like he's just providing a platform. And it's funny because I saw on Instagram, there's an Instagram page, I think it's called Preachers in Sneakers, and it shows like these expensive shoes, these expensive sneakers that preachers wear. John Gray, he was featured on it wearing $4,000 tennis shoes, and you think that's elaborate, and then you hear that he's going out and buying Lamborghinis, and it's like, oh my goodness. And there's nothing wrong with making money, honestly, but I feel like he's a minister just to make himself famous so he can become a salesman and then get his reality show from Oprah. He has this reality show that hardly anyone's heard of, but apparently he makes enough money to buy Lamborghinis. I don't know, guys. What do you think about that? Would you go to a church where the pastor drives a Lamborghini? And it's not like this guy was some sort of rich businessman that became a minister like the Duck Dynasty people, which they don't drive Lamborghinis, I don't think. Or he's an actor, and he, like Stephen Baldwin, and then he became a preacher. This is a guy that was a preacher, and then he got rich. So it's like he used it. I don't know, what do you guys think of that, though? Would you go to a church where the pastor drives a Lamborghini? So it's about time says, saying it live. Congratulations on being a father and having a family of your own. It's a great, wonderful thing. It's a great honor, big responsibility, but rewarding. Happy Father's Day. Well, we appreciate the greeting. Hey, buddy, how's life? Congrats on the baby. Welcome back to the Philippines. Peter Rocco says, oh, that's right, Travis. How is your mom? Well, I need to call her. I mean, it's going to be, without getting into all the details of the situation, it's going to be a long process. Even if everything goes perfectly, it's still going to be at least a few months. I mean, I'm hoping it's only a few months. If it is a few months and then she's pretty much back to normal, I'll just be ecstatic. I'll be over the moon. So it's going to be, a long process regardless, even if it's only a few months. But let's hope and pray that it's only a few months and then she gets back to being where she needs to be. Imabel suggested that maybe this is God's way of making her slow down and get some rest. I hope so.
I claim and receive that. This is the difference between the clubhouse.
Imabel says she claims and receives that. Peter Rocco says, if I was rich, honestly, I would not be out flaunting and spending. Yeah, I don't feel like I would either. I would still buy like, it's funny, me and Imabel this past week, we were in a shoe store called Onitsuka Tiger. I don't know if you're familiar with that brand of shoes, but they're nice shoes. They're like old school sneakers, and I was looking at the prices. They were about, the average price of a pair of shoes was $150. And I was like, man, these shoes are expensive. And I was saying to Imabel, who would pay $150 for a pair of shoes? Well, we know John Gray pays $4,000 for his sneakers, apparently. But me just being an average person, I'm like, who would pay this kind of money, 6,000 pesos, which is like $150? Who would pay $150 just for a pair of sneakers? Now, granted, they're nice. I like old school sneakers myself. They're cool, but $150? And she said, Imabel brought up, well, it's kind of relative because what if you're rich? Maybe that's not a big deal. If you make lots of money, let's say you make $1,000 a day, whatever, is $150 pair of sneakers a big deal? Well, no, I guess it's not if you do it that. I guess it is somewhat relative, but I feel like even if I was super rich, it's like, man, I don't know if I would spend that much. I would still just go to Marshall's and Ross and get the $20 to $40 sneakers if it were me. Those are good places to shop for sneakers, at least when I did that before, but I would take a pair of $150 sneakers if someone wanted to give me some. I'd take them as a gift or as a sponsorship if they wanted me to promote them. They're definitely cool shoes, very nice shoes, but I'm not going out and spending. By the way, my cousin, he did give me a pair of Onitsuka Tiger shoes, and not the regular ones, special edition. If you saw when he last came here, he gave us all these Christmas presents. But he gave me like the really high-end ones, the ones that you see in the movie Kill Bill, which is a very limited edition. And it's like, man, those shoes are so nice and so cool. I'm afraid to wear them, especially outside, especially if you live in a place like Manila. But maybe Cade will inherit those shoes. It's funny, speaking of that brand of shoes, Onitsuka Tiger, when I was in high school, my parents, they went to a garage sale and they had an old pair of wrestling shoes, super old, like from the late 60s or early 70s. And they bought them for like 25 cents or something ridiculous cheap. They were old but never worn, brand new condition. And when I was in high school, I wore those shoes. They were Onitsuka Tiger but wrestling shoes. But they were so old, they didn't have, those Asics stripes where they kind of crisscross over. These actually looked like Adidas. But they had 4 stripes. They were so old, this is before they had those patterns. So this is like, I don't know, maybe 1960s these shoes were. And people kind of laughed at me, but hey, I won one of my state championships in those shoes. My dad used to say it's not the shoes, it's the guy in the shoes that makes the difference. And that's very correct. Now, maybe if you're talking about a sport like sprinting, where maybe some sort of technological advance in the spikes at the bottom and every fraction of a second can make the difference between winning and losing, maybe something like that. Or like in swimming now, they have those full body suits that cover their whole bodies. Of course, the technology makes a difference, and you can swim a lot faster in those than just an old-style swimsuit. But those shoes were really cool. My parents, I don't know whatever happened if we threw them away, but at that time when I was wearing those, people kind of laughed at them because they're old. But now, since things always come back around, people would probably think those were the coolest shoes ever. If a high school wrestler wore those, they'd be like, this guy has special shoes. Look at those old school shoes he has. But yeah, you can look them up, like Tiger wrestling shoes. They were white and they had 4 black stripes. They looked like Adidas, but they had an extra stripe. But old Tiger wrestling shoes. My voice is getting a little dry. I might have to go get a quick drink. It's About Time says, in my opinion, it's not a political channel. You have opinions just like everyone else. You shared some of your opinions, and that's all right too. Thank you very... I guess this is a previous comment that I scrolled back to. Thank you very much. Let me see here. Let me scroll down. Peter says, I see Filipino internet is still superb. You freeze on and off and are lagging. Yeah, I talked about that earlier, Peter, but I think in the replay, once this uploads as a recording, I think it will all be okay. Joe Z says, the Temple of Crooks and Liars for the feel-good ministry. Truth and reality, there's no substitutes. Peter says, I wouldn't pay more than $60 for a pair of shoes, maybe $70. If you want to hear something really funny, I've had Filipinos call me rich, and think I am rich because I am an American, but it's farther from the truth. Well, I think being an American, at least still for the time being, if you're born in America, it's a huge blessing. And we definitely still are the land of opportunity, even if we went down in a lot of other areas, especially culturally. I don't even want to get into some of that. It'd be very controversial. But that's the thing. America is a place of opportunity, and I think that the elites, the controllers, that's how they want it. They want it so being an American is basically, it doesn't mean anything. It's really just an economic system. That's all it is. But is that worth fighting for, an economic system? I don't think so. If you're going to fight and go to war, you go to war for your family, for your people. But what is an American person? I don't know. What does an American person look like? I don't know. Now, if you ask someone from the Leave It to Beaver days, you'd get a very different answer. People would be, answer right away. But so they've kind of made it meaningless to be an American. We have no meaning. We have no more identity anymore. And, but they still have just a good economic system. But the people that control things, that's what they want. They want it that way. They want so people can make enough money to be comfortable that they never complain and they never try and change the situation and they never try and overthrow them from controlling everything. So, on that note, before getting too controversial, let me put this microphone down real quick, which seems to be working real well, and go get some water because I'm feeling a bit dry. Talk amongst yourselves. Got my water. You got to drink your water like a man. I just needed a manly drink of water. That hit the spot. Let me check the stream, how long this has been going on for, but I think that this mic is working quite well. And thank you guys for supporting us on Patreon. Thank you for the super chats. I do need things to buy for this channel. More things. I just got this sweet microphone. Do I look more professional now? Hopefully I sound more professional, at least from an audio standpoint. So let me just check the stream here. I'm not sure how long I've even been going for. It seems I've been going for an hour, which is...
He's awake again, but he's just playing.
Cade's awake, I guess, in the other room, she's saying, but he's playing, which is good. That's what he's here for. His job right now is to eat, sleep, play, grow, get big, strong, develop, and he's doing that like a champ. So I was meaning to just stream for an hour, so I can probably wrap this up pretty soon. I'm just checking the window with the super chats. We got 3 super chats: John Escape, Christopher D. Bona, and Peter Rocco, aka Simply Rocco. So pretty good. Thank you guys so much for that. Like it's feels great to get these super chats from you guys. I definitely really appreciate it. You need that. We need to support each other. There's definitely worse ways to support the money. There's definitely worse people to do, because I try my best to not only put out good content for you guys and things from the heart, I try and put out things that can help you. There's a lot of phonies out there, a lot of fakes. There's a lot of people that claim to believe certain things that they don't believe. We saw some of that just this week with Laura Southern. First of all, if someone has a name that sounds fake, you probably shouldn't trust them. Now, I never got wrapped into her. I got wrapped into following her content because I took one look at this girl, and I'm a pretty good judge of character. I'm pretty discriminating. I knew right after looking at her she's probably a fake. I knew that like years ago whenever I first saw her and people were talking about her. But I knew that this is someone that I should probably not trust. And then news came out about her and her videographers this week. Some pretty shady stuff going on. It seems that, and I'd heard stuff years ago about her. I heard some rumors about her, but that she's not to be trusted. And sure enough, there's things coming out, and now she's retired. And we know. I think we have a good idea if you've been following the story on why. This person she doesn't have any kind of principles. She was in it for the money and the attention. Just another e-thought. T-H-O-T. Just another thought. So you got to be careful with who you follow. I'm not like Ben Shapiro either, where I'm funded by billionaires. Ben Shapiro's literally funded by billionaires, and he's to be the mouthpiece of those. And it comes a time when, all these people are fans of him and they like what he says, which he doesn't really have that many fans, by the way. They put a lot of money into this guy to try and make him popular. And people are catching on, especially after he acted like a baby on the BBC. When an adult finally asked him some harder questions, he had to get up and walk out because he didn't have answers. He couldn't speak with a rational adult. People think he's this brilliant guy because he wrecks SJWs and feminists, but that's low-hanging fruit. He's going after very easy targets. It's easy to win a debate if you're debating someone that's completely nuts and that most people aren't going to agree with. That doesn't make you a rebel when you speak out against some of these things that the average person still considers normal or abnormal. So it's all a smoke screen. I don't want to get too much into him here, but I'm just saying you got to be careful who you trust. Even good, well-meaning people, they can let you down. So, because here's the thing too. If you're doing your best and you're trying to be a good person, whether that means being a Christian or whatever, it's easy to let people down and let yourself down. When you have high standards, it's easy to fail to meet up to those standards for yourself. And then you become a hypocrite, which is not something anyone likes, myself included. But if you really hold yourself to high standards, it's easy to fail to meet those high standards. And some of that's kind of understandable. We can be forgiving, but ultimately, you want to believe in ideals, not just people. It's good to have a good leader, a good figurehead, but don't put all your faith in them. That's what I'm saying. So believe in ideals, not people. Let me see here. Peter says, this is a good mic. Yeah, I think so. I look forward to actually looking at the recording and listening to this. See what it sounds like. Hopefully the video's not so laggy the way it's appearing here live. He's going to come here in October. Yeah, Peter, we've been talking for a long time. Just hit us up with a private message. October, let's see, how many months is that away? It's 4 months away from now? It's Father's Day. I have a birthday coming up this week too, by the way, guys. I have a birthday coming up. I forgot to mention that. I was going to mention that in the beginning. So, fishing for compliments again. So, it's funny, my birthday falls pretty quick after Father's Day, and some years Father's Day actually lands on my birthday in some years. So, now that I'm a father, that's also pretty cool. So, I don't want to get too much into the political stuff because a lot of that's bad vibes, no matter what side you fall on, and it's all kind of, there's no left, there's no right, there's right and wrong, basically, and I'm trying to always do the right things, and sometimes you wake up and you're like, man, I thought I was doing the right thing, But then it turns out, just like a lot of people that support and follow Ben Shapiro, they're like, man, I thought I was doing the right thing by supporting this guy, and I thought this guy was this good leader and like had our best interests at heart. But now that I look at it from a different perspective, I realize everything this guy advocates is actually very bad for me. It's good for him, good for his billionaire employers, but the guys that fund him, it's all good for them, and for him, it's good for him. But like I said, people are starting to, it's funny how people are waking up to him. That guy, he's manipulative. And it really bothers me when I see someone trying to seduce well-meaning, well-intentioned young men that mean well and want to do the right thing, and really they're just trying to trick them. They're tricking them into doing things to fight for things that are against their best interests. It's all in his best interests and his billionaire funders. But the guy, these regular people, these working class people, everything that, well, not everything, but a lot of things that he ultimately, what he's trying to do is what a guy like that's doing is he's reeling you in with these truths. He's trying to talk about certain social issues, and he's coming on the right side of those social issues, but he has a very nefarious plan because he gains your trust with those things, but then ultimately he's going to start trying to lead you down the wrong path. So he's trying to trick you into thinking he's smart and that he's a moral person, but ultimately he's very deceptive. So I don't know if this is a little bit too much for some of you guys, but I didn't mean this to be the discuss the truth about Ben Shapiro hour. Let me check the stream here. But I think I'm going to wrap it up.
It's very deceptive.
I've went for about an hour here, a little over an hour it looks like, and I only intended to do about that long. So hopefully I can start doing these on a regular basis. Probably not next week, but the following weekend, hopefully we can start bringing these back. Now that I got a good mic and an appropriate mic for this, that's one thing I was never happy about. I'd been doing these live streams since 2012, and I was always kind of disappointed. I didn't feel like the audio was good enough. You can go back through and look at the old ones. There's a playlist on my channel for that, and let me ask Imabel what she thought of this. Imabel, what did you think of the stream? Well, she thinks it's good. You know, I know we got into a few things, and I'm not trying to ruffle anyone's feathers, especially my wife. But ultimately, I'm trying to be a blessing to you guys, trying to not only entertain you, but, you know, hopefully...
I could answer the question of Christopher DeBona earlier. I would say that's something that I'm paying for, and whatever God's will is will happen.
Imabel has her own answer to Christopher DeBona. Well, maybe Imabel, you can leave that in the comments section for him. But she had her own answer, and Imabel has a different perspective on some of these things, and that's all okay too. Ultimately, though, we are united and we come together as a team. Me and Imabel, we are on the same page. And we realize we're stronger together than if we're separate trying to do our own thing. And now we have a purpose in life to try and unite and we're stronger than ever, me and Imabel. I've known Imabel so many years now, and I love her so much more now that we have this shared human being that we created. And our love for him also unites and strengthens us. It's kind of a hard thing to explain maybe to people that aren't parents, but what do you think of what I'm saying about this, Imabel?
I agree.
Yeah, she agrees. Like I said, it's really kind of a hard... hard thing to explain, I guess, if you don't have kids. Like I said, it changes your perspective and thinking. And I love my wife so much more now that we did this creation together. The ultimate creation, creating a human being. That's epic stuff, man. And just our love for the kid is just beyond words. I don't think there's ever going to be a time in his life, at least right now. Obviously, things change. And I'm a new dad, so it's probably easier to say this stuff. But I was just thinking, I can't imagine a day in his life when I don't tell him I love him. Even now that he obviously can't understand language, I'm always constantly telling him, I love you, I love you, I love you. You're wonderful. I love you so much. You're growing up to be big and strong and intelligent. You're going to be such a successful man. You're already a successful baby. I'm always, maybe some people find this kind of goofy. It does sound like prosperity gospel stuff.
It's not prosperity, like there's power in the power, the chance of life and death.
Imabel saying the tongue has the power of life and death. It's a matter of life and death, these things, what we say. So I always try and be careful with our words, and especially if we are spiritual people, if we're going to try and live a life of faith, I think this is very important. Definitely a lot of prosperity gospel people talk about this, but I think it's good messaging that, like I said, when my mom had this issue, and we just got a message saying that she got hit by a truck, she's in a hospital, there's no other details. That was like the exact message, and I didn't want to be like, oh my God, what if she's dead? What if she's paralyzed? I didn't want to just go off, even though as a human your natural instinct is to do something like that. So I'm always trying to grow and learn, and hopefully passing along this knowledge to you guys. Peter says, I miss my kids being babies, an exhausting but an amazing experience. Yeah, I get it now. Yeah, it's definitely exhausting. I was telling everyone earlier, I don't want to tell people that this is going to be easy. I don't want to tell people that you're going to be happy and blissful all the time when you're sleep deprived, because that's not realistic. I definitely want to prepare people for some of the realities, because if people go into it just think, it's just going to be heaven all the time, well, they're going to be very disappointed and maybe angry at you, and you're not really helping people. You got to tell people that the truth, that this is wonderful and amazing, but it's challenging too and very hard. But the best things in life, the things that are worth doing, they're very hard. They're very challenging things. So I hope your children are doing well. Say hello to them for me. I'm just checking the stream. But anyways, let me just finish checking the stream. Be very disappointed and maybe angry at you. And it's kind of funny. It seems that there's about a 15 to 30 second delay from when I speak to when the video plays for you. I don't know if that's just for me. I'm guessing that's for everyone. But if that's the way it is, let's see here. Peter says, easy? No. Easy is never worth doing. Josie says, you're a good blogger in the Philippines that's straightforward and honest. Thanks for being real. Well, hopefully I'm just a good vlogger. I mean, regardless of wherever I'm doing it from. It's definitely some of our videos in America are some of the best I've done. That one vlog we did from China 2 years ago on my birthday. Yeah, it's been 2 years now. I'm 2 years older. That was on my birthday. We did a vlog in China. That's one of my favorite ones. That was a very special experience when me and Imabel got stuck in China for a day. It came out great video, but really wonderful experience on top of it. Our videos that we did a 5-part video series where we went to Singapore. It's kind of a late honeymoon for me and Imabel, because we never had a real honeymoon after we got married. So we kind of considered that a honeymoon later on. But if you watch that 5-part series where me and Imabel went to Singapore, those are some of my favorite videos that I've ever done. It's funny, speaking of some of these things like prosperity gospel or whatever, we actually visited Pastor Joseph Prince's church in Singapore in one of the vlogs. Now, he wasn't there, it turned out, but we went there and they still had church, but he did it via video. He was actually at Lakewood Church, and that was interesting, and Joseph Prince, he's kind of like one of those foofy, feel-good pastors. That's how a lot of people think of him, myself included. But I saw a video that was recommended for me on YouTube where he was talking about sexual sin, which you don't really think of him talking about sinning. Most of those prosperity gospel types, they avoid that topic. But he talked about sexual sin. I saw this video on YouTube, and he actually said some really good stuff about it, and he really did a good job of tackling it, at least in the clip that I saw. So I was quite impressed with him in that regard. Included, but I saw a video that was recommended for me on... Yeah, it's a bit delayed. So, I'm going to wrap this up, guys. Thank you for spending time. Hopefully we were a blessing. Hopefully we entertained you. We made your life a little bit better. Thank you, and God bless all you guys. I'm wrapping it up here.